This is In Case You Missed It, your National Agriculture News Recap the week ending July 24, 2026. Despite significant seeding delays and drowned fields in some locations, Western producer analyst Bruce Burnett saw great promise for prairie crops on a recent tour. Burnett presented his findings at the Ag in Motion Farm Show, held this week in Langham, Saskatchewan. He said he saw a good, solid crop. This year's projected record canola area is quite evident. There were many areas with very few fields planted to anything else. However, that will likely be tempered by higher abandonment in the north. Wheat crops also look to be in good shape, though it was obvious less had been planted this year. Burnett forecasted an average yield of 52.6 bushels per acre for just shy of 25 million tons of production, a little smaller than the last few years. Burnett cautioned that northern areas will need a long autumn to get the crop in, after seeding was delayed by 2 or 3 weeks. The canola crop also faces a few pest concerns, said Clint Yerk. Yerk is a regional technical services manager with BASF. He was on site at Ag in Motion. Thanks to ample moisture in the first half of the growing season, sclerotinia is a concern, as is Bertha armyworm and potentially cabbage seed pod weevil. Find all our Ag in Motion coverage at producer.com. The Canadian dairy sector is weighing potential impacts of new 50% U.S. tariffs. U.S. President Donald Trump announced on Monday that he would place levies on a range of Canadian goods, like dairy ingredients, beer, wine and spirits, flowers, wool, bovine hides, and many others. The duties take effect on August 19th. The White House said the tariffs respond to unfair treatment of American-made cars, dairy, and alcohol. Canada's supply-managed dairy system has been a long-time complaint of the Trump administration's. American dairy is subject to Canadian tariff rate quotas. However, Dairy Farmers of Canada said American dairy has successfully accessed the Canadian market under the CUSMA trade deal. It said that between 2019 and 2025, U.S. dairy exports to Canada grew from $423 million to $1.06 billion. Dairy Farmers of Canada said it's concerned about how tariff uncertainty will affect Canadian families and the economy. It called on the federal government to continue to defend Canadian dairy. Many of Canadian farmers' values are reflected in a statement put out by federal, provincial, and territorial agriculture ministers after meetings in Halifax last week. That's according to the Canadian Federation of Agriculture. The ministers met to discuss the next policy framework, a suite of policies that will govern agriculture spending and programming starting in 2028. The CFA noted a shared commitment to competitiveness, market expansion, innovation, and resilience in agriculture. It also praised the group's emphasis on flexibility, collaboration, and transparency. However, the CFA warned that the proof would very much be in the pudding. Farmers will look for clear objectives and accountability. They also want substantive reforms for business risk management and strategic initiatives. During the meetings, the federal government announced plans to double the cap on agri-stability payments and make changes to eligible expenses. However, the CFA said farmers are looking for greater urgency and want to see meaningful business risk management reforms well before 2028. In case you missed these and other stories from across the Glacier Farm Media Network, visit AgCanada.com or download the AgCanada app.